How in the world do you find motivated sellers to sell their house? We're going to get into the nitty-gritty on today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome to the Investing in Real Estate Show. I'm longtime real estate investor Clayton Morris. Back in 2017, left my day job as a television news anchor to pursue my lifelong dream, which was not having to get up at 4 in the morning and work for somebody else. And now, of course, because of rental real estate, able to create that monthly cash flow all through buy and hold real estate. So this show, if you are new to it, is where we help you create financial intelligence, help you take better control of your life and go out there and create that financial freedom for you. We've got a special guest on today's show. Her name is Jessica Sanders. She is the CEO, the founder of 1,000 Calls a Day. That's a lot of phone calls. So her company works to find leads, motivated sellers, those people who want to sell their house. A common question we get in our office all the time is, well, why would that person want to sell their house? Guess what? You never want to ask that question because every day somebody wants to sell their house and everyone has different motivations for needing to sell their house. So Jessica today and we are going to dive deep into some of those motivations, where to find these properties, and what do you say to someone on the phone in this situation? Jessica, welcome to the show.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm doing great. So thanks for joining us. So 1,000 calls a day. First of all, how did you come up with this idea for the company and how did you guys get started?
So we got started about 5 years ago. I worked at a marketing firm and we noticed that the number one reason that people had problems with their real estate businesses was that they really needed to generate more leads and then they needed to follow up with the leads that they had. So I branched off, partnered up with my former boss, and started 1,000 Calls a Day.
And so what does the company do? What exactly do you do? Are you making 1,000 calls a day? That's a lot of calls. I used to make like 100 calls a day, so I don't know how you'd humanly do that.
Well, we use technology for our advantage, first of all. I hire and train Filipino virtual assistants, a lot of single moms over there that want to work from home so they don't have to deal with the traffic and all of the issues that goes along with, working American shifts in the Philippines, getting out in graveyard shift for them. So everybody works from home. They're all virtual assistants and I train them and oversee and manage them for our clients to make outbound prospecting calls to identify leads.
Okay, so let's get into some of the nitty-gritty of this now. What type of person would come to you? What type of real estate agent, wholesaling team? What type of person comes to your company in order to hire you guys?
So most of our clients are real estate investors. The really sweet spot are our clients that are both real estate investors and also have a real estate agency or firm along with their investment company. And then we do have just some traditional real estate agents that are also our clients.
Do you guys do all the prospecting yourself? Are you pulling together the lists and putting all that demographic data together in order to find the leads? Or is a client coming to you with a list of phone numbers and all of that, and then you guys start getting on the phones?
So we can send you to some of our vendors that we recommend if you don't have your lists already. We have some great algorithms and partnerships out there to help you gather the data. A lot of our clients usually end up going through about 25,000 records every 3 months. So it is, you have to stay on top of getting new data. So that's definitely something that we help with, but we don't actually supply it ourselves.
Right. I know our team, we spend tens of thousands of dollars a month on gathering those sources, gathering those leads, and then getting on the phones and making those phone calls and to identify that motivation. So let's dive into that. What is a motivated seller? This is the promise that we promise people at the top of the show. So how do you identify motivation? Why would someone want to sell their house? What specifically are you looking for when your team at 1,000 Calls a Day gets on the phone with someone?
Right. So we have a list of 50 different motivated questions that we ask to find out what the motivation is. We try to keep it very soft. We don't want to talk about money up front because anybody will sell if it's for the right price. We really want to get into, is it because they've got too many properties already? Are they trying to downsize? We want to get into what their personal reasons are for moving first or for being interested in taking our call and meeting with our partners.
So let's talk about some of those motivations that you hear, because like I said, a common question we would get is, Well, why would a person want to sell their house well below market value? What types of motivations as examples have you experienced over the years in making these calls?
So people who have inherited a home that they don't really know what to do with is a big one. People who have multiple non-owner occupied homes is something that we look for. People who are going through divorces and are trying to just get out of it for what they owe, not necessarily what it's worth. Another really common theme is somebody who is elderly and they are looking to get their affairs in order so that things don't go into probate later for their family. They'd be willing to sell their home below market value for cash so that they can go ahead and get that settled before.
How are these motivated sellers being presented? How do you guys connect with them in the first place? Are you simply cold calling them? Are they receiving a piece of mail that initiates a call to you and to your office?
No, we are actually initiating the phone call cold completely. Some of our clients do some direct mail, but and if they do, we do try to use the campaigns that are being direct mailed to try to time it correctly so that if that piece of mail has made it inside the house and onto the counter, we're calling while it's still there. There's some brand recognition. But most of our clients actually stop using direct mail and hire us because we're a lot more cost effective and we have similar returns.
Right. And the amount of money upfront, the amount that you spend on direct mail can be really limiting for a lot of people. It can really keep them from taking action. So working with a company that can just get on the phone, you give them the list, they have the phone numbers, you're able to dive right into it. So walk me through that script a little bit. What are we talking to these motivated sellers about on the phone? You said we're not really coming out talking money up front. You're trying to gauge that motivation. Where do you go from there once you sort of gauge motivation and dive into that a little bit, if you will?
So once we've gauged motivation, then we want to try to get a little bit of information on the condition of the home, and we want the lead to tell us what is the number that makes them smile if they sell their home right now for cash. That's a big part of the conversation. So it's a very short script, and we're market qualifying the leads. We're not going to dive into the nitty gritty. We're going to let our partners, our clients that are the experts do that. But we are going to ask them to rate the home from 1 to 10, 1 being in poor condition and 10 being in excellent condition. Ask them if they've done any upgrades. And then I want to leave it on a good note by asking them what is the least amount they take for their home and still be happy. And I want to see what that number is so that we can pass it over to our clients. And when they're doing their due diligence, they know walking into it whether this is going to be an investment grade lead or if this is more of a retail quality lead.
Okay, so a couple of key takeaways there. You're asking them, what's the number that would make them smile? What cash number would make them smile? So they're probably going to give you a number that's probably not in alignment with where you need to be, because you're going to probably have to go into this property and do some upgrades on this property. So in order for your clients to make a profit, in order for them to spend the 6 months working on this house, there needs to be a profit margin there, right? That number where they're going to be happy is probably, I'm sure most of your phone calls, it's probably out of alignment with where you need to be, right?
Right. It's for most of our clients, it starts out of alignment. But then once they get into the house in front of the client with all of the notes and they're building that personal relationship, there's a whole lot of opportunity that opens up. It's that personal connection.
Right. So you're developing that personal connection. You're pointing out, oh, these pipes are wrapped in asbestos. So that's just a remediation process that's going to cost us an extra bit of money to get that remediated. These are asbestos tiles here. We have to, that's going to be an added cost. Did you know that these are asbestos tiles? No, I didn't even know that. And you're not being disingenuous, you're being honest. It's going to cost you a lot more to remediate these things. And you can start to build that rapport, but also letting them know, look, let's be realistic. There's a lot of work that needs to go in this house. And a lot of times people are emotional about the house they've lived in for a lot of years, or they've inherited. It was mom's house. They've lived here. They didn't know that there was a big foundation problem, or they just thought the moisture in the basement was normal, right?
Right. And to your point with that, being able to go in there and objectively say, hey, look, I know this is the number that you want, But with all of the work that needs to be done, and for us to do this quickly and without closing costs and to be efficient, this is what I can present you with. And most of our clients put out, anywhere from 3 to 10 contracts a week.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's a key takeaway too. If you're a real estate investor just getting started, you just got to write the contracts. You've got to put out you've got to make offers. You've got to make offers because there's motivated sellers every day. There are people constantly inheriting properties. There are people constantly moving into nursing homes that have let a house go into disrepair. There are constantly people getting divorces. I mean, let's be honest. There are all kinds of different motivations out there. Now, once you've identified that happy cash purchase or that happy cash offer, then the number that you're giving to them, what's the lowest amount, to use your words, what's the lowest amount that you would take cash to, for you to sell this house? How often do you get people slamming the door in the face? How often do you get people hanging up on you? What do you think? What would you say is a percentage of people that just are angry about the offer?
Well, I don't really get to be involved with the offer part of the process very often. But I can tell you from our metrics that we track, because we do track the ROI for our clients. So we're keeping up with how many leads we passed over, how many appointments they had, and then how many actual purchases or closings they participated in. And I would say that, I would say that for every 2,200 phone calls, 22,000 phone calls that we make, we're going to have at least 2 closed deals.
For every 20,
and we're doing it.
You said 22,000. 22,000 calls, right. 2 closed deals. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of volume. Holy smokes. Now, just at a high level, when you're looking at the market right now, because I like to, there's always going to be people that need to sell their home quickly, even in a down economy. It doesn't matter. In fact, in a down economy, probably more. What are you seeing right now in the market trends? When you're seeing, the end of 2018 into 2019, what are you seeing? Boots on the ground, 20,000 calls. What are you seeing?
So for the most part, things have started to slow down slightly as far as the amount of leads that we're able to identify. Mm-hmm. That's not uncommon with this time of year. Most of my clients that are extremely successful, we do a really hard push starting in October all the way through November and December and January, trying to get them set up to have a really successful spring. So right now is really doing all of the boots on the ground work to build up your pipeline for next spring. If you don't start in October, you're not going to have a nice full pipeline come March.
Yeah, when I was first starting out, one of the key things, I think the key to my success in getting my first number of deals in the pipeline, my first one I only made, $2,000 on, and then I was up from there. But it was because I was continuing to market. It was because I was continuing to be on the phone after I got those first deals working. Most people get so excited that they drop the ball on what's going to happen in month 2 and month 3. And they see just like immediate success, they get super excited about it. And they forget that they need to be future-proofing themselves, especially at this time of year when everyone else slows down, right? The retail market for houses right now really slows down around Christmas time. But this is a phenomenal time for investors, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a time where if people don't want to get out and go look at houses to go purchase them, it's a perfect time for investors to sneak in there and grab properties at a discount, so that they can go ahead and fix and flip them.
That's great. Well, if someone wants to get started with you guys and is a real estate investor out there that wants to start getting people on the phones, converting their leads, how do they connect with you?
You can go to our website. It's the number 1000 and callsaday.com, and you can register to speak with us there. I have a great team that's ready to chat with you. You'll have a talk with our sales manager and president, and then you'll, get a virtual assistant, and we'll get you all set up. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks for us to get you completely ready to go and on the phones. But we've got a really dialed in process.
Wonderful. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much. My guest has been Jessica Sanders from 1000 Calls a Day. Jessica, thanks so much for joining us today. And thanks to the cat. What was the cat's name in the background?
That's Puck.
Nice to meet you. And thanks so much for joining us, everyone. And We really appreciate you joining us and subscribing to this show. Thank you so much for making it such a huge success. We're really thrilled about all of your feedback. I'd love to hear your comments about today's episode. Please leave them in the comments thread. You can share your thoughts about this process. And if you have any questions, I'd love to do a follow-up. We can do another live show where we can dive more deeply into this subject matter. The bottom line is, if you want to get started in real estate investing, there's only one way to do it, and that's just to take action. Change your life. Get out there. Take action. Become a real estate investor. I believe it's the #1 way to build wealth in this country. We'll see you next time, everyone.